to see you?
I don't know. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear. Yeah,
Okay.
you can hear and see me, right? But
Yes,
I can't
yes,
see
I
you.
can.
Okay.
Okay, good evening, sir. It
Good
was
evening.
very nice talking with you and seeing face to face after so many years. And so, welcome is today my Quora talk with Mr. Narayan Gerd, one of my mentor and one of the person who I always aspire in my life. And you have a very big contribution today where I reach. So welcome in my show, Quora Talk, and you are the first guest for me, so it's a blessing. So first, I would like to, sir, ask you, how are you, and what is the your comment on current situation of pharma industry in India, as well as overall your perspective about pharma industry, especially?
Ravinder, thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you for adding yourself as a mentor. I think mentoring has been my life purpose. So from today morning, I must have had about three conversations with three different mentees. So I think that's part of my life. Having spent 45 years in pharma, there are a lot of you people like you who have come up,
Yeah, I
progressed.
would say so, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, sir. Continue. I can hear
A
you
lot of
very well.
Yeah, a lot of you people have come up and progressed and become leaders in the field. So it's a matter of great joy for me to see people who are like bachas in front of me earlier have become strong, uh, well-known leaders worldwide. So I'm nearing 70 now. I'll be 69 end of this year. So for me, the biggest joy is seeing all of you becoming global leaders of pharma and healthcare. So good to connect with you and happy to talk to you. So your question is, what is my comment on the current pharma scenario? Is that right?
Yes, yeah, sir.
Okay. It's a very broad-based question. So let me look at let me divide your the answer in therapy area, operation, and healthcare scenario. So when it comes to therapy areas, and my bigger focus is on India. When it comes to therapy areas, acute care is significantly down because people are not stepping out, people are not drinking bad water, people are not getting exposed to different unhealthy situations, people are not eating unhealthy food. So acute care has significantly come down. So in a way, COVID has taught us a lesson that we can live with normal homemade lifestyle, non-luxurious lifestyle, non-exploitative lifestyle, and save money. And the pharma industry is not is not benefited by it. But we are not talking about pharma industry's benefits. We're talking about what's happening to the pharma industry. So acute care is down. Chronic care is reasonably okay, but even that is down a little bit because people are in a way less stressed. People who are going to office get stressed by bosses, by colleagues, by environment. And because there is less stress, sugar levels are under control, CNS disorders are under control. So if you look at cardiovascular, metabolic disorders, and CNS as the main chronic areas, even that is relatively down. So on the whole, COVID has contributed to better health for Indians. COVID has contributed to better saving on healthcare cost by Indians. Having said that, a lot of Indians have also lost jobs, or many Indians are working on half salaries. So in a way, it's a blessing in disguise for them. So I talked to you about acute care and chronic care. If you look at healthcare scenario as a whole, Many healthcare sectors today are working at 20, 30, 40% capacity. All surgeons are working probably 10% capacity because elective surgeries are out. So if elective surgeries are out, post-elective surgery drugs are also out. Dermatologists, interventional dermatologists who used to do cosmetology earlier are working today at 25-30% capacity. The last month they were working at 10% capacity. Elective surgeries are down. Uh, Cosmetology is down. Dental is down because people are scared of the oral cavity is the carrier of COVID. So doctors are scared of oral cavities. The lesson to learn from this is people are able to live and manage by postponing their surgeries, by postponing their dental care,
Okay.
by postponing their cosmetology work. So, so maybe the healthcare scenario was such that there was overdiagnosis and overtreatment. So very often I feel that
Yes,
because
sir.
you go to a doctor, he diagnoses something. Because he diagnoses something, sends you to a path lab. The path lab discovers something. So today, even if you or I go to a cath lab, cath lab is cardiology lab, they will find blocks in our heart. So that's what I call as
Yes.
overdiagnosis and overtreatment. That has come down significantly. So on the whole, COVID has contributed to better healthcare, and reduced overdiagnosis. I hope I've answered your question. If you have any supplementary questions,
Yes,
I'll
sir.
be happy to answer.
Yeah, it's yeah. Another, my question is that in COVID situation, mostly people are at home and not now in India. It is not that much, but like in Myanmar currently we have lockdown, so we are at home. So how to keep it yourself motivated when situation is not the way we used to live. Actually, in my way, it is a good opportunity to learn to live in different way. It is you can do a lot of things. So I want to know, because in Mumbai you have lived so many days, month together to at your home. You can't go outside. So what you have done and what we can learn. What is your suggestion? How to live with the COVID era in coming future now and coming time?
So let me first answer your question by asking you a question. What is it? What is this disease called?
Yeah.
I'm asking you. What is the disease called?
Uh, COVID-19, it is like a flu.
Exactly. This
Yeah.
disease is called COVID-19. Why is it called 19? Any idea?
Yeah, because it is started due to coronavirus and in December 19.
Actually, well, that is partly true. There will be more COVIDs coming in the future. They will be called COVID 20, COVID 21, or COVID 22 whenever they come. So, no other disease has so far been given a year of birth. Even Spanish flu, which is 100 years back, it is just called Spanish flu. It is not called Spanish flu 1920, which is the time it was born. So, this has deliberately been called COVID 19 because
I would like to.
mutation. Go ahead.
Yes, yes, sir, please go ahead.
It is deliberately called COVID 19 because they are already preparing, the scientists are already preparing for the fact that mutation will be continuous. And because there will be continuous mutation, there will be a next COVID, there will be a next COVID. So, to answer your question, how to live in COVID times, my first response is COVID is here to stay for long time to come. COVID 19 may go away, COVID 21 might come because 20 is already over, or COVID 22 might come. There will be many more COVIDs coming in the future. Will the COVID itself go away 5-10 years from now? I don't know the answer to that. Nobody knows the answer to that. But more COVIDs are expected. So we have to learn to have COVID as our partner in progress. First point. Now, if COVID is going to be our partner in progress, is very clearly chosen word. That means progress has to happen despite COVID. Secondly, this progress has to happen. Even vaccines will not be viable because today's vaccine will be based on COVID 19. There are already 24 variants of COVID 19. Within COVID 19, there are 24 mutants available. So the vaccine is based on which mutant? We don't know. So vaccine will be in the Indian languages. I call vaccine as a Lakshman Rekha, but COVID is like the Ravan who will cross Lakshman Rekha and grab the patient. So vaccines also will be less effective. So if you have to live with COVID in the future, whatever be the COVID variant, I will talk about how to live with it mentally, how to live with it physically, and how to live with it emotionally. How to live with it physically first. We have completely given up on focusing on protection. I don't want to use the word immunity because immunity is very frequently used. But immunity leads to protection. How do we lead a protective life or protected life? Today, from bed sheets to oils, everybody is saying we have immunity with us, which is a very wrong way of marketing. But in the future, if we have to live with COVID physically, we have to live with it with building our own immunity. I'm comparing this with vaccines. Assuming vaccines will be
Okay.
partially available and partially successful, what will be fully successful is precaution and protection. Precaution will be SMS. We have to do that all the time. Mask, washing hands, and all that. But the next focus is going to be how do I live a protected life? If I have guests coming in, or if I have to go somewhere as a guest, I would like to know whether the food being prepared is healthy, the food being prepared will contribute to my immunity, or will it take away my immunity? So the future of COVID, living with COVID, progressing with COVID on the physical front will be with prevention and protective measures. Protective measures will be diet and exercise. That's the way we build our immunity. How to live with COVID
Okay, sir.
emotionally? Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Continue.
How to live with COVID emotionally? I think the way to live with COVID emotionally is by digital contact with people, not the physical contact with people. I think in Bombay, twice a week partying was very common, Wednesdays and Saturdays. Everybody in the age group of 25 to 45 was definitely having a party twice a week, meeting friends, meeting families. If not them, at least eating out twice a week. Eating out twice a week was so common. The poor man ate out on the roadside, the middle class man ate in the Udupi restaurants, and the high class man ate in the fine dining restaurants. So eating out twice was a norm. So we will have to live with less social contact and more digital contact. That's the way we have to get used emotionally. So we talked about physically, we talked about emotionally. Living with COVID spiritually, I believe it's very important to consider that because we have lost our spirituality, we have gone into a big difficulty right now. People have to recognize that my spiritual connect. I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about being spiritual. What is called a spiritual quotient. My spiritual quotient has to go up. Spiritual quotient means what? Spiritual quotient means doing everything best. Whatever I say the best. Whatever I do the best. However, I relate to Ravindra Jain, I relate to him in the best. But after doing all the best, I leave the rest to God. That is what I call a spiritual quotient. Everybody thought सब मेरे हाथ में है, सब मेरे control में है. That is not spiritual quotient. Some of the deaths have been most unexpected when it comes to COVID. The most unexpected death was S.P. Balasubramaniam. He had a mild attack. He made a video saying that I have a mild attack. I'm going to hospital because I want better care than home. And in the hospital, the poor man in his early 60s died. So COVID is not going to distinguish the rich and the famous, the rich and the poor. COVID is going to hit us for many, many years hard. So our spiritual quotient has got to be high, saying that I can be the next victim. The only way out of that is building yourself physically, emotionally, and being prepared for the worst in terms of it spiritually. I hope I have answered your question fully, Ravinder.
Yes, sir. Very nice. Very good answer, sir. Another thing, we were talking your opinion about that last my talk. I was talking about using turmeric or Indian herbs like Ayurveda for enhance your immunity. So I want to know your opinion, specifically about turmeric and other Indian masalas and all these herbs we are using. So please tell something about especially role of turmeric for enhance your immunity or yeah.
You have raised a very relevant question. First of all, in English medicine, there is very little to do with immunity. There is some vague
Excuse
evidence
me, sir.
about.
Just your camera. Can you adjust? I can't see you properly. Yes, your camera.
Okay, now?
Yeah, now just little bit back. Little bit back.
Okay?
Yeah, now it okay. Now very good.
Okay.
Now best.
Okay, great. So what I was saying, Ravinder, is that in the medicine that we are used to, which is the English medicine, there is nothing which can actually be called as immunity developer, except maybe a little bit about zinc and a little bit for vitamin C. Now, how much vitamin C, how long to take, how much immunity it will build, there are no measures to that. So, the allopathic medicine has so far not focused on prevention and protection. Allopathic medicine has so far focused on treatment, 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 treatment. Indian medicine, traditional Indian medicine, has always focused on good health through prevention and protection. All our spices are extremely good immunity boosters. Whether you talk about turmeric, you talk about ginger, or we talk about giloy, they're all very, very good immunity boosters. So if you look at East versus West, East meaning English medicine, West meaning English medicine, and East meaning Indian medicine, Chinese medicine, Japanese medicine. This side, Japan, India, China, and particularly India, have always focused on food being taken as a drug. Food being taken as a drug for prevention, not for treatment. Okay, they may also work for treatment a little bit. So we have always focused on eating food as if it's medicine. In fact, one of the jokes used to be that if you don't eat food as medicine, tomorrow medicine will become your food because you have to take so many medicines. So Indian medicine has always focused on immunity boosting. And the best immunity booster there has been undoubtedly 5,000-year-old turmeric.
Okay,
Hello?
sir. Can you explore some? Yes, sir. Can you explore some more about the turmeric? Because your
Okay.
knowledge about this product is a lot.
Turmeric has got. Uh, you'll be shocked to hear that there is no product like turmeric in the world. Okay, because turmeric
Yeah.
is the preventive as well as it treats as well as prevents. I repeat, turmeric is the only product which is 5,000-year old, which treats as well as it prevents. So what all does it treat? It is a very good antibacterial. It's a very good antiviral. It's a very good uh, antioxidant. So if your oxidation is high, it reduces oxidative stress. So it treats all this as an as an antioxidant, as an antibacterial, as an antiviral. So this is the treatment part of turmeric. The protective part of turmeric is it's an immunomodulator. It's a very, very strong immunomodulator. It's a very strong immunobooster. So there is no product in the whole world which has got all these 5 characteristics: antibacterial, antiviral. I forgot to mention anti-inflammatory, and so I repeat: antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. There are 4 antis there, and it is a immunomodulator. So there is no product in the world which does this. However, turmeric had a problem because turmeric was not water soluble. So what is not water soluble is not absorbed by the body. So if you switch to Hindi for a minute, turmeric was always given in India through tadke mein dalte the. The tadka was always oil.
Yes, sir.
So oil was a carrier of turmeric, but that is a very small quantity. What we have been able to do as a company is make turmeric into like sorbitrate, buccal absorbed. So we call it buccal to blood. So we have bypassed the GI system completely. We have bypassed the first phase metabolism completely. So we have made turmeric into a lozenge format. And the turmeric lozenge that we make is almost equal to 9 teaspoonful of turmeric. What blood level you get with 9 teaspoonful is available in one lozenge. If you're allowing me, I want to tell you about some recent evidences with our product. Do you want to hear about some recent evidences?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, sir. Definitely.
Okay. We recently did a trial about protection. About protecting. Protecting whom? Protecting the COVID warriors. So we took a COVID center and took all the COVID warriors there, which means doctors, nurses, ward boys. The hospital had 500 people. So for our trial purpose, we had asked for volunteers. 300 volunteers came up. So they were put on this our product TermNova while they were treating COVID patients for 2 full cycles, which means one full month. Generally, COVID healthcare workers, 10% of them get affected. So out of 300 people, 30 should have got affected. In our case, only one got affected mildly.
Oh, that's a great news.
So this shows, let me continue the same story. This shows that the protective property of our product TermNova is stupendous. They were taking 3 times a day and they got fully protected. Now the hospital wanted to buy, this was under trial. The hospital wanted to buy TermNova after trial was over. But unfortunately, because of hospital buying regulations, they delayed the buying to this month. They bought it this month. Our trial was previous month. So today we're talking about October. Our trial was in August. September, there was no drug. You know what happened in September? Out of 500 people, 68 were positive.
Oh my God.
Hospital has 500 people.
Yeah, that is a problem with it.
So the protection of through this is absolutely phenomenal. This is one example. Other example is our own factory. In our factory, we have 250 workers. Not a single case so far. Every day when they come in, they're given one lozenge. As they leave, they're given one lozenge. Surrounding all the factories, if they had 250 workers, at any point, they will be affected by COVID, 10%. In our case, not a single case so far. So this again proves the protective property. I don't call it immunity. Immunity is just one element of it. I call it the protective property of turmeric or our product TermNova.
Thank you, sir, for giving your idea about this wonderful product. Hope to see that product soon in Myanmar. And next, my question is that what is what you want to say? At least 3-4 points to the like me or the much more younger people, those are watching this your interview, what are the learning they should focus, especially if they are in pharma industry, they want to make career in pharma industry?
I would say pharma industry is the only industry which gives you continuous learning. No other industry can give you continuous learning. Why pharma industry gives you continuous learning is because you're constantly dealing with the most educated society, which is the doctors. So I've seen so many people, including
True,
yourself,
sir.
Ravinder, who come in as raw people, but in two to 3 years time they become very sophisticated, they become very educated, they become very learned, they can take care of health of neighbors and surrounding. So pharma industry is the only industry which gives you maximum opportunity to learn. However, not everybody learns because their ability to learn may be low. So I would say for youngsters, whether they're in the 20s or the 40s, please increase or fire up your hunger for learning. Once you fire up your hunger for learning, pharma industry can teach you a hell of a lot. Today, having spent 45 years in pharma, I can talk from neurology in the brain to cardiology to gastroenterology to urology to orthopedics to cancer. Not because I learned them in my pharmaceutical days as an M-Pharm, but I learned while working with doctors, while talking to doctors, and my appetite for learning was very high. So compared to any other industry, pharma is the only industry which gives you great opportunity to learn. So fire up your learning desire and become a great learner. You are a great example, Ravinder, yourself, of becoming a very learned man, having spent about 20 years in pharma.
Thank you very much, sir. My one question about that, about something about yourself. Yeah, it is about your personal life, how you started from where and where you reach. How you want to describe your journey as a Mr. Narayan?
Very interesting question. I come from a very, I was born in a very low income family. So my upbringing was in good schools, but with low incomes. I managed to do all that, finished my M-Pharm and then my MBA, and came into industry in field in brand management. And what I realized is if I have to compete with the best in the industry, I have to learn medical marketing, pharmaceutical marketing, healthcare, and best of marketing practices. So I continue to learn all my life. I continue to invest in attending courses, including advanced management program at Harvard. So I would say my journey has been one of commitment to learning and commitment to teaching. The best way to learn is to teach. When you teach people, you learn more. So my commitment to learning, my commitment to teaching, my commitment to growing people like you, there are about 40, 50 people like you today world over who have worked with me and learned with me and become big people. So my journey has been committed to learning and teaching. The result is that today my own son is a well-known rehabilitation engineer. He's a neural engineer doing some work in rehabilitation of paralytic people, rehabilitation of the spinal cord. So healthcare has gone into our system and our genes. That has been my journey. And even nearing 70, I still work more than 12 hours a day. I work out 2 hours a day. So life has been very satisfying and life has been very rewarding. The best reward is people like you.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, I had left one or two more questions. My one question: which are the two things which you want still you want to do it?
There was resound. Can you repeat your question? Which are the two things?
which are the two things which you want to do it in your coming years in future, which you have not done till now?
The two things that I want to do, I don't know. There are two. There are many more that I want to do. Two would be when I reach 90. Today I'm only 69. So there are many things that I want to do.
Okay.
First of all, I want to contribute to. I have been contributing, and I want to contribute more to education of the needy. I support one school for the 9th and 10th standard. So in the 9th and 10th standard, whoever is bright boy there, a bright girl there, I adopt them, and whatever they want to study, I support their education right up to finishing their education financially.
Great,
So we are saying poor people in the 9th and 10th who would not think of studying, I support them. However, I think like a Marwadi. Anything given free will not be accepted. So I support their education. There are about at least 12 engineers today whom have supported through 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and right up to engineering. And they have to pay me back after they start earning. So I'm able to support more people then.
Yeah, sir. Very good idea.
So these 12 people are paying me back at the rate of 5,000 per month, which is nothing because they earn about 3.5 to 4 lakhs or 5 lakhs per year. So they have also understood that if they pay back, I can support more people. So I began with 2 or 3, and because the repayment began, I'm able to support 12 people today. So the first thing I would like to do is support more education to the needy. The second thing that I would like to do is grow people who are capable of growing but have not found the opportunity. Like there are some business people's children who didn't have the opportunity to grow intellectually because they were spoiled children. They were spoiled because they got everything very easily. So these industry people send them to me to reformulate them. So I create next generation of entrepreneurs by working with them. So two things that I would like to continue to do is support education and support entrepreneurism.
Okay, sir. My last question is how you define what is the success for you, and how much is the contribution of luck and your hard work in that?
See, success is very subjective for many people. For me, success is if I'm better today than yesterday. That's all.
Okay.
Am I better today physically, mentally, emotionally, intellectually? Am I better today than yesterday? Then I'm successful. So for me, success is not a milestone. Success is a journey day after day. And I do what I call as an audit of myself every month, and I do this audit more forcefully on every birthday to see whether I have traveled some distance or not. Have I been the same as I was 1 month back? Have I been the same as I was 1 year ago? So to answer your question, for me, success is am I better today on all these fronts? And do people recognize that is better? I can say I'm better, but Ravindra Jain has also got to see that I'm better. So I keep asking people, have you seen me change? Have you seen me contributing better to you? So to answer your question, success for me is being one step more than yesterday on all the 5 parameters. What was your second question?
How much the country, how you define that? Like I believe that being a successful or with whatever you do, unless and until your luck favor, it is very difficult to get anything. So how you say how much luck and how much your hard work need for being a successful or get something? So what is your experience of last 45 years?
Well, there are 3 elements to it. not 2 elements.
Okay.
The 3 elements are
Okay.
ability that you're born with or genetic composition. How strong was your
Okay.
genetic composition? Second is how do you use that genetic composition, which is hard work. And third is, of course, luck. I believe that your genetic composition or what you're born with and how hard you use it, which is hard work, is 60%. And 40% is undoubtedly luck. So luck doesn't have a small role. Luck has a significant role. Having said that, I would also think that luck is not constant. Remember this.
Yeah.
Luck is variable. Sometimes luck is low, sometimes luck is high. So I would say that your genetic composition being the same, when your luck is low, your hard work must be higher. When your luck is high, your hard work can be normal. So luck, although it's overall it's 40%, there are times when luck can play only 20% role because because you're in very good times. So I would say luck has a role. There's no doubt about it, but it can vary based on situation to situation. And concluding that by saying, can you depend on luck? The answer is no. Can you blame luck? The answer is no. Can you depend on hard work? The answer is yes. Can you blame hard work? The answer is yes. Can you blame genetic composition? The answer is no. So what you're given or what you're born with is genetic composition. What you do with that is your hard work. So if if both are working well, luck will generally support you to some extent, pull it down by some extent, but you can't depend on it. But you can't blame it also. So I call it 30, 30, 40. 30 genetics, 30 hard work, and 40 luck.
Very good. I learned today one new formula. I still remember that formula, Banna hai group.
Okay, Ravinder.
Thank you very much, sir, for taking out time for me. And a lot of our whole ex-Panacea colleagues were watching your show. And it was a great to see you in this show. And thank you. I will connect you after 1 month or maybe when I will discuss with you when you have time to discuss something more. And just your last message, what you want to give to our viewer in 2-3 sentences.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the invite. And I'm happy to contribute to all the people who want to receive the contribution. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Good night. Take care.
I'm going offline.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you
now
very
I'm
much.
able to see you. Now I'm able to see you.
That's great. So then I will ask one more question. You keep it your camera like this. Now you are looking very handsome. So please keep it your camera like this. So I will ask one more question. Like Sachin Umalkar is asking. Hello. Sachin Umalkar is asking Sachin Umalkar is asking. He's saying thank you to listening you, and he's asking know about your turmeric product brand name as well as your company name little bit. He wants to know again. So please tell something about that.
Of course, I know Sachin Umalkar. Sachin is a great professional and a great singer. He's in Pune. Sachin, our brand name is Term Nova, and we have representation. I think Shetty had talked to you about marketing this product. Somehow you could not manage it at that time, and we are marketing it through franchisees. We cannot have field force only one product. So it's doing very well. Thank you, Sachin, for asking.
And sir, always now you are already 69, but you are still glowing. Can you tell us the secret of always I remember when I was working with you, you were young, whatever young you are today. Can you tell us the secret of evergreen, Mr. Agar?
I don't know. I don't know whether I'm glowing or I'm evergreen. I can tell you that one way to show up, show up good health, in addition to of course eating good food, no guilt. I have no guilt. I don't do anything wrong. I don't
Okay.
say anything wrong as much as I know. And if I do something wrong, I immediately apologize. So if you live a no guilt life, your face is illuminated. No guilt.
Okay,
I
great,
mean,
great, sir.
if that makes sense.
Yes, yes. So thank you, sir. Keep your blessing
Try
to
the
me or my or colleague, those who work with you. And thank you. Good night. Say hello to your family. And if I will come to Bombay, definitely I would like to meet with you. Thank you, sir. Good night.
I
Take
look
care.
forward.
And thank you very
I look forward to
much.
meeting
Okay, sir.
you and
Thank
your
you.
friends anytime. Anytime.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Okay, sir.
I pressed the
Thank
wrong button and I can see myself and you now. God bless you all.
Okay. Thank you. Good night, sir. Good night.